What if I told you there's a gentle, almost hidden point on your forehead bone, a small doorway that can bring a quiet you may have forgotten? Most people live their whole lives never touching that place. They never know the very calm they search for has been resting in their own body the whole time. Take a slow breath with me now. In and out. Again, in and long out. Feel your shoulders soften. Feel the weight at the top of your chest ease by a fraction. That small movement, that pause, is what this moment is for. Imagine a soft, golden light resting just above the space between your brows. Picture it like the hush of evening settling on a quiet street. It's warm, not bright. Calm, not energetic. Close your eyes if that feels nice on your phone right now. Ancient healers place small marks there. A bindi, a seal, a ritual whisper, because they knew that this place could open something deep inside. An inner silence that listens. Modern people call this the third eye. We'll call it the third eye of silence, because what comes is less about seeing with your sight and more about hearing with your stillness. Now imagine bringing 2 fingertips gently to that point on your forehead bone. Press with the softness of a bird resting on a branch. Hold for a slow breath. Notice if anything changes. A warmth, a little tingle, a sense of weight lifting from the brow. Some people say it feels like an old door unlatching. Others say it feels like a hush moving through the spaces between thoughts. Before we show the technique, know this: you don't need special belief or a lifetime of practice. You only need your willingness to pause. If your spirit feels even a small tug toward this quiet, trust it. If that tug is there, and if you want to remember this door whenever you need calm, tap subscribe. Whisper a gentle yes to your own growth. Save this video for the nights when sleep will not come, and for the afternoons when your nerves are tired. Share it with a friend who needs a softer way home. If you're ready, let's find that point together, slowly, kindly, with a breath between every step. Keep your phone steady, make a small space for yourself, and let the silence do its work. Before we begin, take a slow breath and notice, where are you watching this from? Your living room, your bed, or perhaps lying quietly under the evening light, phone in hand, feeling that quiet pull towards something beyond explanation. Because what I'm about to tell you is not just a story. It's a remembering. Somewhere between your eyebrows, beneath the skin and behind the bone of your forehead, lies a tiny door. Not of flesh, but of light. The ancients called it the ajna, the third eye. The eye that sees without looking, that knows without learning. Now, before your mind rushes to dismiss it, pause. Science now whispers the same secret that sages once shouted in silence. Behind that point sits a small pine cone-shaped gland, the pineal gland. It regulates your sleep, your dreams, your sense of time. But energy healers have long known it does more. It tunes you to frequencies of peace that ordinary eyes cannot see. So tonight, or whenever you find yourself here, you're not watching by accident. You've been called to touch that point, to awaken what has been waiting within you. Close your eyes for a moment. Let your fingers find the space right between your brows. Not the skin, the space beneath. Now ever so gently press, just enough to feel warmth rise under your fingertip. And imagine a soft golden light glowing there. The kind of light that hums, that breathes, that forgives. Can you feel it? That quiet pressure, like something ancient breathing back at you. The Book of Secrets by Osho once said, "Close your eyes and look within." The third eye is not an organ, it's an opening. The one who looks through it disappears, and when he said disappears, he didn't mean death. He meant the small self fades, and what's left is silence. A silence that watches your thoughts, but doesn't chase them. In modern neuroscience, that silence isn't mystical and it's measurable. When you touch this point and breathe slowly, the vagus nerve activates, calming the nervous system, lowering heart rate, softening cortisol waves. So in that touch, the body and spirit meet halfway. A sacred handshake between science and soul. Now imagine ancient temples, stone corridors echoing with chants. In Egypt, this same point was carved onto walls, a single eye shining within a triangle, the Eye of Horus. To the yogis of India, it was the doorway of intuition. To the mystics of Tibet, the mirror between dream and waking. And to the modern world, it's just the space between two brows. How curious, the same spot and yet so many meanings. Maybe this is what makes it holy. It belongs to everyone, but is claimed by no one. Now breathe again. As you exhale, let the muscles around your forehead soften. Feel how thought slows when attention rests here. There's a strange serenity, like you've tapped the pause button on existence. This is what I call the third eye of silence. The great philosopher René Descartes once called the pineal gland, the seat of the soul. He believed it was where our mind and body intertwined, the meeting point of the physical and the divine. Maybe he wasn't wrong. Maybe he simply remembered what mystics had always known. And now I want to ask you something. When was the last time you truly listened to your silence? Not the silence of an empty room, but the silence that sits beneath your thoughts, the one that has always been there. The patient, ancient, waiting. If you're feeling something stir inside you right now, warmth, tingling, tears, and that's not coincidence. That's energy remembering its source. That's your spirit saying, yes, I'm still here. As you stay with that feeling, gently pressing the forehead bone, visualize a calm indigo flame glowing in the center of your mind. It doesn't burn. It only illuminates, quietly, lovingly, and if your mind wanders, let it. You're not here to control. You're here to remember. As you keep watching, we'll go deeper into the forgotten language of this third eye, into the ancient symbols that knew what science is only now beginning to see. For now, keep breathing. Keep touching that sacred space and feel the soft pulse of silence opening within you. And if you can feel even a faint spark of that, tell me in the comments with one word: awakened. Because when you do, you don't just type a word. You affirm that you have remembered what most have forgotten. Welcome to the Spine Gospel. This is where silence speaks. When you gently pressed that point on your forehead earlier, something subtle stirred beneath your skin. Perhaps it was warmth. Perhaps it was silence. Science might call it a neurological response. But to the ancients, it was the whisper of awakening. Between your eyebrows, behind that thin bone, lies a tiny organ no larger than a grain of rice, the pineal gland. Modern biology sees it as a regulator of sleep and circadian rhythm. But mystics have always called it the third eye, the window between worlds. When your fingertips rest near that spot, something remarkable begins to happen. Your vagus nerve, the great communicator between your brain and your body, responds. It sends signals downward, slowing your heart rate, easing your breath, telling your entire system, you are safe now. It's almost poetic that peace has a pathway, that stillness can travel through nerves like a prayer moving through the body. Dr. Bruce Lipton, in his profound book, The Biology of Belief, writes, every cell in your body is affected by your thoughts. And when your touch and thought meet in one sacred point, that belief becomes biology. You're not just imagining calm, you're activating it. Science now speaks of the parasympathetic nervous system, the part of you that restores, digests, heals. Ancient healers called the same current life force or chi. Different words, same truth. As you bring your awareness to this point between your brows, small electrical impulses begin to harmonize. Brainwaves slow, alpha rhythms rise. A sense of space opens behind your forehead, a silence that feels alive. Dr. Joe Dispenza, in Becoming Supernatural, describes this moment beautifully. When the pineal gland becomes activated, it's like a radio antenna tuning into higher frequencies of reality. You may not see light, but you might feel it. A soft pulse, a tingling wave, a subtle bloom of calm that spreads through your temples, jaw, and throat. This is your body listening to itself again. For centuries, sages drew serpents rising through the spine, symbols of awakened energy winding upward toward this single point. Today, neurologists describe it as the ascending reticular activating system, responsible for awareness and focus. What mystics saw as Kundalini, science now observes as an energetic awakening of the nervous system. pause here for a breath. Imagine a soft golden light resting between your brows. Each inhale deepens it. Each exhale expands it. Feel that light as both memory and presence, a quiet intelligence your body never forgot. You see, the human body was never meant to be divided between spirit and science. Both have always spoken the same language, only in different accents. In the past, monks meditated for decades to touch this stillness. Today, you can begin to feel it with something as simple as touch and breath. And maybe, just maybe, this is how evolution intended it, for you to rediscover the sacred through your own biology. And yet, as we learn more about the science of stillness, we also uncover the deeper emotional truth hidden within it. Because what awakens through this practice isn't just your pineal gland, it's your awareness. It's the moment you realize that silence was never the absence of sound. It was the presence of everything. So let me ask you something. When you close your eyes and touch that point, what do you feel? A pulse? A warmth? Or perhaps an emotion surfacing? One that's been waiting for your attention for years? Write it in the comments below. Describe it, not for others, but for yourself, because language makes energy real. Your words give shape to your awakening. As you sit with this awareness, know this: you've already stepped beyond the idea of believing, you're experiencing. And experience is the bridge between spirit and science. When you next touch that sacred spot, you'll know you're not just pressing on skin, you're touching an ancient circuitry, one that connects thought, breath, and being. And this is only the beginning, because hidden in ancient texts lies the secret of how early mystics trained this very energy to open the third eye of silence completely. And that's where we're headed next. Now that you understand the silent power hidden behind your forehead, let's learn how to awaken it, not with force, not with effort, but with presence. You don't need candles or crystals or chants. Just your body, your breath, and a few quiet minutes that belong only to you. Take a moment to sit comfortably. You can rest on a chair with your feet touching the ground, or sit cross-legged if that feels natural. Let your spine be tall, not rigid, just aligned, like a string of light connecting the base of your spine to the crown of your head. Now close your eyes. Take a slow breath in through your nose and exhale gently through your mouth. Do this 3 times, each breath slightly slower than the last. Notice how your shoulders soften, how the muscles around your eyes begin to relax. Now, bring your hand up. Using your index and middle fingers, gently touch the center of your forehead, right between your eyebrows. This spot is called the glabella in modern anatomy, but ancient sages called it the ajna point, the seat of inner knowing. Your touch should be feather light. You're not pressing to feel the bone, you're inviting awareness. Hold your fingers there. Inhale deeply again. And as you exhale, imagine a soft golden light beginning to glow beneath your fingertips. Dr. Deepak Chopra, in his book Quantum Healing, writes, "When awareness touches the body, it transforms biology." And that's exactly what you're doing now, transforming, not performing. Keep your attention steady. You may feel warmth, tingling, or a subtle pulse. If you don't feel anything, that's perfectly fine. Sometimes the silence itself is the first sign of awakening. Let's move through this in 3 simple phases, so your mind and body stay synchronized. Phase 1, the breath of silence. Continue breathing softly. Each inhale moves upward, from your heart through your throat toward your forehead. Each exhale moves downward, from your forehead through your chest into your belly. It's a gentle circulation of energy, like waves rising and falling within you with every breath. The golden light beneath your fingertips expands, spreading behind your eyes, illuminating the space inside your skull. You're not forcing visualization. You're allowing remembrance. Your body knows this light. It's the same current that flows when you feel safe, loved, or deeply present. Stay here for a few breaths, just observing. If your mind wanders, bring it back with the words, "Here I am." Phase 2, the subtle press now, with your fingers still resting on that point. Add the slightest pressure, just enough to remind your body. This is where awareness meets matter. Press gently for 5 seconds, then release. Do this 3 times, each time synchronizing the press with your exhale. This rhythmic motion activates the frontal branches of the trigeminal nerve, which, according to modern neuroscience, communicates with the vagus nerve, the same channel that tells your body to relax and restore. As Dr. Candace Pert describes in her book, Molecules of Emotion, the body is the subconscious mind. Every thought is translated into a chemical messenger. So, as you press, let your thought be one of peace. I am safe. I am here. I am listening. You'll begin to notice a soft hum, not an external sound, but an inner vibration. That's your nervous system harmonizing. It's silence taking form. Phase 3. The eye within now. Slowly release your fingers, but keep your awareness exactly where they were. Visualize a small indigo light hovering in the center of your forehead like a calm star floating in infinite night. As you breathe, that light gently rotates, opening like a lens, receiving light from beyond and within. You are now inside what mystics called the eye of silence, a space where thoughts fade and perception begins to glow. In this stillness, you may sense colors, memories, emotions, or even tears. That's your energy body recalibrating. Old frequencies leaving, new ones arriving. Don't judge the experience. Just breathe through it. Each inhale invites clarity. Each exhale releases what no longer serves your nervous system. You are not escaping the body, you're returning to it with reverence. When you're ready, gently place your hand over your heart. Feel both points, your forehead and your heart, connected through a single current of awareness. The heart-mind connection, as described in the HeartMath solution by Doc Childra and Howard Martin, explains that when the heart and brain are in coherence, the body enters a state of healing resonance. That's what you've just done. You've brought the 2 centers of your being into harmony. Now open your eyes slowly. Let the world return softly. Notice the air on your skin. Notice how light feels gentler now. Your senses may seem sharper, your thoughts quieter. That's the third eye of silence. Not something mystical floating above you, but a shift within you. Before we continue, pause and ask yourself, what did you feel? Warmth, stillness, emotion? Tell me in the comments. Your reflection helps others find their own, because what you just practiced is more than relaxation. It's a remembrance, a doorway that's been waiting for you to knock. And as you'll soon discover, this doorway doesn't just open to peace, it opens to perception, to seeing the world as it truly is, beyond noise, beyond fear. And that's where we're going next, to explore what begins to shift inside you once the third eye of silence awakens. When you touch that sacred point and breathe into the quiet, something begins to rearrange itself inside you, gently, without effort. The forehead relaxes first, then the eyes, then the small muscles around the jaw. But what follows isn't just physical release. It's an unraveling of noise that you didn't even know you were carrying. The mind for a moment steps aside, and what remains is a field of listening so wide that you can almost hear your own heartbeat echo back through the universe. Many who practice this describe a curious calm, as if time slows down. Colors appear softer, sounds seem to fade into a single hum of life. This is not imagination. It is the nervous system entering coherence. The vagus nerve sends a quiet message through the body. You are safe now. And safety, once remembered, becomes a kind of prayer the body whispers to itself. It's in this silence that the first emotional waves begin to rise. Sometimes it's tenderness, sometimes tears, sometimes laughter that seems to come from nowhere. What you're feeling are the echoes of moments your body once held in tension, the small heartbreaks, the words never spoken, the weight of unprocessed memories. When the third eye of silence opens, it's not just about vision, it's about release. The inner world unclenches, and what has been buried begins to breathe. The writer Michael Singer once said in The Untethered Soul, "When you release the energy that you've been holding, it becomes pure light." That is precisely what happens in this practice. As the forehead softens, light seems to emerge. Not physical light, but an awareness that glows from within. You may notice an almost magnetic pull between the heart and the head, a subtle flow that feels both ancient and intelligent. It's as if your body recognizes this movement as something sacred, something it has always known, neurologically. What you're feeling is the harmonization between the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for reflection, and the limbic system, which governs emotion. When these two begin to communicate peacefully, old stress circuits deactivate. It's the biological expression of forgiveness. The energy that once powered anxiety begins to fuel stillness. The chemistry of fear slowly gives way to the chemistry of peace. As you sit with this, the mind might try to analyze it. It might whisper, "Am I doing this right? Let it go." The awakening of the third eye is not a technique, it's a remembrance. It happens when effort fades. You are not opening something new. You're remembering what silence feels like when it flows freely through every cell. You might also notice a curious spaciousness behind your eyes. That space is awareness itself. It has no edges, no beginning, no end. In The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle wrote, "The moment you become aware of the thinker, you are no longer trapped in thought." That's what's happening now. The light between your brows is not just energy. It's awareness recognizing itself. You're not just watching. You're being watched by the stillness that holds all things. For some, this shift brings an emotional cleansing, a sense of forgiveness toward people or memories long left unresolved. The touch on the forehead becomes an inner gesture of compassion. You realize that every person who ever hurt you was also searching for silence and didn't know how to find it. The third eye opens not to judge, but to see without distortion. The moment you see clearly, you heal. Physiologically, the body begins to mirror this healing. The heart rate evens out, the breath deepens. Hormones associated with stress begin to fade as melatonin and serotonin rise. The same gland once seen as mystical, the pineal, is quietly adjusting its rhythm to match the stillness you're cultivating. It's as if your entire endocrine system sighs in relief, and somewhere in that silence, you might feel something like gratitude. Not the kind you speak, but the kind that hums through the bones, a thankfulness for being alive in this moment, for feeling yourself return home. It's subtle, yet it changes everything. Once you've tasted this kind of inner peace, the noise of the world loses its power. You begin to respond to life, not react. The forehead that once carried the weight of thinking now becomes a window of seeing. You may also experience a sensation of expanded awareness, as though your consciousness is stretching beyond your body. Don't chase it. Let it come and go. It's simply your perception adjusting to the vastness within you. The mystics called this the eye that sees without seeing. It's not supernatural, it's natural clarity, returning after centuries of distraction. As Dr. Joe Dispenza writes in Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, when you change your internal state, your outer reality must change to reflect it. The awakening of this point on your forehead begins that change. You might find yourself speaking softer, listening longer, or noticing the beauty in ordinary things. You begin to live from the rhythm of silence rather than the rush of noise. Let's pause for a question. When you rest your awareness here, what emotion surfaces first? Is it peace? Is it nostalgia? Is it something you can't yet name? Share it in the comments. Naming your experience helps you witness it more fully, and through that witnessing, it transforms. This is the quiet revolution of the body, not a fight against chaos, but a surrender into coherence. Every touch, every breath, every moment of stillness sends a new instruction through your cells. Return home. And the more you do, the more that home begins to feel like light itself. Keep sitting with this awareness for a few minutes longer. Feel the balance between the breath, the heart, and that luminous point on your forehead. This is the dialogue between energy and emotion, between what is seen and what feels. You are not meditating, you are remembering. You are returning to the original rhythm of creation, silence breathing through form. In a few moments, we'll explore how to make this connection part of your everyday life, so that each morning and night, your body naturally returns to this inner stillness. But for now, let yourself simply be here in the echo of your own peace, where silence begins to speak. Across the shifting sands of time, ancient civilizations left behind more than stone monuments. They left blueprints of the human body as a divine temple. To them, the human form was not flesh alone. It was a map, a sacred code designed to align the heavens above with the silence within. The point between your eyebrows, now called the third eye, was once the focus of entire initiatory schools. The Egyptians called it the Eye of Horus, carved on temple walls as a symbol of divine perception. The Hindus called it Ajna, the command center of consciousness. The Taoists referred to it as the Crystal Palace, hidden within the skull, where energy and spirit meet. Each tradition pointed to the same mystery, a silent organ that doesn't see the outer world, but remembers the inner one. When you touch this region, you are not merely activating a spot on your skin. You are awakening a current that flows from the base of your spine to the crown of your skull, the path known as the Sushumna Nadi, the royal channel. It's the same current that yogis spent lifetimes learning to guide. The same current depicted in serpentine carvings, rising up ancient staffs, later known as the caduceus, the modern symbol of medicine. Inside your skull, behind that point of touch, lies a triad of glands, the pineal, the pituitary, and the hypothalamus, forming a holy trinity of light, rhythm, and creation. Ancient mystics didn't name them biologically, but they knew their essence. They described the pineal gland as the seat of the soul, the lamp through which divine intelligence radiates. When this inner lamp flickers awake, perception changes. You begin to see patterns, symbols, and synchronicities, not as coincidences, but as communications. The Egyptians encoded this in myth. They said Horus lost his left eye in battle, a metaphor for the soul losing its intuitive sight to the chaos of material life. But when the eye was restored, Horus didn't just regain vision, he regained balance. That restoration is what happens within you when the energy rises to the forehead. Logic and intuition merge, masculine and feminine currents meet. The dual mind dissolves into unity. Ancient Tibetans taught that this point is the gateway through which the spirit leaves the body at death and re-enters at birth. To open it consciously while alive was to achieve liberation without dying. To them, touching the forehead wasn't superstition, it was a key gesture in Dzogchen practice, guiding awareness beyond thought into the clear light of being. If you observe sacred art across cultures, you'll find the same mark, from the Bindi of India to the golden dots on Buddha statues, to the glowing orbs above the saints in Renaissance paintings. Each one is whispering the same truth. The divine doesn't reside outside of you. It resides behind your brow, waiting to be recognized. When energy begins to circulate in this region, the body responds. Some feel a coolness, spreading like silver light across the forehead. Others sense a magnetic pulse or a mild vibration in the center of the brain. These are not illusions. They are the language of the subtle body, confirming that the inner temple is awakening. The more you touch this point, not with pressure, but with reverence, the more you re-establish the ancient circuit. You are, in essence, rebuilding the connection between heaven and earth within yourself. In ancient Egypt, initiates would lie in stone chambers beneath temples for 3 days in darkness. Their breath slowed, their senses withdrew, and their energy concentrated in the center of the skull. When they emerged, they described seeing light without eyes, a silent sun within. The same light lives in you. It is what mystics called the lamp of God within man. Your forehead is not just bone and skin, it is the veil over the inner altar. The ancients encoded this mystery because they knew the world outside is a reflection of the world within, and to change one, you must awaken the other. When you touch this point calmly, consciously, imagine not your fingers on flesh, but your soul knocking at its own gate. This is the ancient blueprint, hidden in plain sight. It is the same gesture that prophets made when they bowed their heads in prayer, the same instinct that makes us press our foreheads to another's when words fall short. It's the memory of unity, the human longing to return to the source that breathes through all. And perhaps that's why silence follows this practice, because when the third eye awakens, there's nothing left to say, only to witness, only to remember. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the return of the soul to its original rhythm. When the energy of the body ascends to the forehead and rests in the third eye, something subtle begins to happen. Not outside, but within the field of awareness itself. The constant movement of thoughts starts to slow, like ripples fading from the surface of a still lake. The breath deepens, time softens, and what remains is not emptiness, but presence. This is the moment where reconnection begins, because the truth is, you never lost the source. You only lost the memory of being connected to it. The noise of the modern mind, the endless rotation of desires, fears, and distractions, they covered the inner current with layers of static. But once the energy reaches the brow, that static clears. And through that clarity, you begin to feel something that words can never fully describe. A living pulse, moving through everything. It's not an emotion. It's not a thought. It's a recognition. The ancient mystics said that when the third eye awakens, the seer and the seen become one. It means you no longer look at life. You look from within it. The boundaries between yourself and existence begin to blur. The air feels alive. The space around you breathes back. You realize the same light that flickers behind your forehead also burns in the heart of every star. The same vibration that rises through your spine hums through the roots of mountains. You begin to understand what the sages meant when they said, "The universe is inside you." In this state, prayer changes its form. It is no longer asking, it is remembering. It is not words directed outward, but awareness expanding inward. Your body becomes the temple, your breath becomes the mantra, and silence becomes the doorway through which the source speaks. When you sit with that awareness long enough, you start noticing how the universe communicates, not through speech, but through alignment. Coincidences multiply. People appear at the right time. Songs, dreams, and sudden feelings carry meaning you didn't expect. You realize these aren't random, they are reflections. The source speaks in symbols, in timing, in resonance. And when you are attuned to that current, you begin to live differently. Your choices no longer come from fear, but from intuition. You no longer chase, you allow. You stop searching for signs because you become one. That's the quiet revolution of awakening, not to escape the world, but to finally move within it as a conscious part of its design. The forehead touch, the breath, the silence, they all become rituals reminding you that divinity is not distant. It flows through your nervous system, breathes through your lungs, beats through your heart. Every time you touch that point, you're tracing the path home, from the external noise to the internal song. From the fragmented self to the whole, mystics across traditions tried to describe this reconnection. The Sufis called it fana, the dissolution of the self into the beloved. The yogis called it samadhi, absorption into pure consciousness. The Christians called it the peace that surpasses understanding. The Taoists called it returning to the uncarved block. Different words, same truth, the remembrance of the source that never left you. It is here, in this silence, that energy transforms into awareness. The current that once moved upward from the base of the spine now expands outward from the center of the brow, radiating in all directions. It softens your thoughts, calms your emotions, and makes you more transparent to life. You no longer resist what comes. You move with it because you feel its rhythm inside you. You begin to trust again, not trust in a person or a belief, but in the intelligence of being itself. It's the same intelligence that made the stars spin, that carved rivers into mountains, that placed consciousness inside matter. When you reconnect to the source, you don't gain something new, You remember what you already are, and in that remembrance, life feels sacred again. Every gesture, touching your forehead, breathing in stillness, closing your eyes, becomes a form of worship. Because you realize the divine doesn't ask for temples or rituals. It asks for presence. And presence begins when you touch that point of silence and let go of trying to understand. When you surrender the mind and listen from the heart of your forehead, where the eternal hum of creation still vibrates, that vibration is not just energy. It is love. Not the love of attachment, but the love that holds galaxies together. The love that breathes your breath, beats your heart, and calls your consciousness home. So when you touch that point, do not rush. Do not seek visions or miracles. Simply touch, breathe, and remember. Because in that simple gesture lies the most ancient prayer, a wordless communion between the human and the divine, between the seen and the unseen, between you and the source that has been waiting all along before you leave this space. Pause for a moment. Take a slow breath in through the nose, out through the heart. Feel the echo of everything we've journeyed through, the touch on the forehead, the silence that followed, the pulse that awakened behind it. You've just walked through one of the oldest portals in human consciousness, the space where mind dissolves into awareness, and awareness rediscovers itself as the source. But awakening isn't a destination. It's a remembering that continues through every breath, every moment, every movement of life. Because the third eye of silence isn't just in your forehead. It's in your gaze when you look at someone with understanding, in your tone when you speak from calmness instead of reaction, in your choices when you follow intuition instead of fear. Each time you live from that space, you strengthen the current that reconnects your nervous system to your soul. You bring the invisible into the visible, spirit into matter, awareness into form. That is the real activation, not light shooting from the forehead, not mystical visions that fade after meditation, but the quiet courage to live with open eyes and an open heart, to see the divine moving in the ordinary, to hear the silence humming beneath every sound. As the mystic Rumi wrote, "The quieter you become, the more you are able to hear." This is the heart of it all, not to escape the noise, but to find the silence within it. Every time you feel lost or disconnected, return to that sacred gesture, 2 fingers to the center of your brow, a breath into the space between your thoughts. You don't need to believe in anything, just feel it. Your body already knows the path. The ancient circuit is alive within you. It's been waiting for your attention, like a forgotten instrument, longing to be played again. When you remember, the body softens, the heart steadies, the mind opens, and you begin to live in tune, not separate from the source, but as a note within its song. This is what the old scriptures meant when they said, "Be still and know that I am." That stillness doesn't belong to religion or philosophy. It belongs to you, the living being behind the name, the presence behind the eyes, the silence behind the words. And maybe tonight, before you sleep, you'll rest your fingertips on your forehead once more, not as a ritual, but as a remembrance. A whisper to yourself that says, "I am home." If this message stirred something within you, even a small spark, tell me what you felt in the comments below. Did you feel a tingling, warmth, calm, or maybe an emotion you can't quite name? Your reflection helps others awaken theirs, and if this space helped you slow down and breathe again, imagine what the next journey could open within you. Follow the spine gospel, and let's continue rediscovering what the body has always known, that within this spine of light, within this sacred vessel of flesh, the divine still speaks in silence. Until we meet again, breathe gently, walk slowly, and remember, the point on your forehead is not a mystery to be solved. It's a doorway to be lived.